What really happens when the soul leaves the body? Charlie Kirk's death wasn't the end, it was a doorway. And what I've seen from his soul since crossing over is very different from the man that you thought you knew in human form. I've been reading Charlie Kirk in spirit since his passing, and what I've witnessed may challenge how you understand faith, family, leadership, even freedom itself. And what I'm about to share isn't about politics, religion, or ideology. It's really about the soul, and reading the soul is what I do best. My name is Sarah, and in my work as a medical intuitive, I see beyond the body and the personality. I look at the deeper essence that continues after death, because the truth is, the soul never dies. And in my last video, part one, I channeled Charlie Kirk just days after his passing. Today, I really want to go deeper. I want to show you the contrast between Charlie as a human personality and Charlie as a soul now beyond the body. Because when we witness the difference, we are reminded of something profound, that the human self is very limited, but the soul is expansive. And the soul knows its time of exit. It begins preparing for a transition before the human mind is ever aware of it. Often about 2 weeks before death, there are subtle signals. There's a shift in tone, an urge to finalize wills or estates. And there can be a sudden softness in conversations or words that carry a weight of closure, so to speak. But the logic brain doesn't know what's happening. The soul does. It begins to loosen its ties to the physical world. Now, crossing over may appear sudden or violent for us, but the soul's departure is actually very deliberate. And it's not an ending. It's like changing out of your clothes at the very end of a day. You drop them in the laundry and you just kind of move on. You don't keep checking on them. You don't worry about them. You simply detach because they served a purpose. And that's how the soul relates to the body, with a very natural detachment once its purpose is complete. And while Charlie's passing felt sudden and tragic to all of us, from the soul's perspective, it was not random. The transition point was specific, and it was woven into the blueprint of his life from the very beginning. So let's talk about the differences that I see as I channel him, from human to soul. All right, so the first is in human form, Charlie was very fiery, very passionate, very polarizing. He believed creating change meant debate, persuasion, even evoking emotion that forced people to look deeper. Charlie's voice was one of his greatest tools. And in life, he used it to rally people, to challenge, and to often confront those who disagreed with him. His words carried sharpness and certainty. That intensity was part of his human design, and it's how he believed change was created through debate, through persuasion, and through the power of his voice pressing against opposition. But in soul form, that same passion feels completely different. It hasn't disappeared, it's still there, but it's softened, it's refined. It carries the same clarity without the edge, without needing to win or convince. All right, so the next one is his faith. His faith is a good example because in human form, Charlie was known for his deep faith, but it was expressed through religion, a framework filled with beliefs, rituals, and boundaries. From his soul perspective, faith is not religion at all. Faith is a connection to source itself, pure, infinite, and without borders and dogma. So the next one is his devotion to his family. I mean, that was fierce, as we all could see, while he was here. He showed it through protection, through provision, and through responsibility of being a husband and a father. But in soul form, that devotion has just expanded. It's no longer bound by roles or obligations. It's unconditional. Oh, it gives me goosebumps. It's unconditional. It's eternal. And it's the kind of love where presence itself isn't measured. being in the same room isn't necessary anymore because it's felt everywhere. It's from the heart, it's beyond time and space. In fact, what I what I am hearing is he seems very excited and eager for his wife because he sees that this very pain that she's walking through right now will expand her into her soul's fullest destiny. Because from a soul's perspective, even grief becomes a doorway. It's not meant to diminish her, but the opposite. It's meant to awaken her strength, her depth, even the purpose that she came here to embody. All right, so the next is his drive. So, this drive he had to move humanity forward, it was big. In human form, that passion expressed through politics and ideology. He saw change as a battle of ideas and at times one side against the other. But as a soul, he sees progress in a completely different way. Progress isn't born from arguments and division. It was born of consciousness and evolution. Human change is often fueled by conflict, but soul level change is created through vibration, alignment, and truth. Okay, so the next is even his leadership, really, it looks different. His leadership looks a lot different now. In human form, leadership meant gathering followers, shaping public opinion, and standing firmly at the front of a crowd. But in soul form, leadership is not about control, influence, or debate. It's about frequency. True leadership is about the resonance you hold and what resonance awakens in others. It's not measured in numbers or popularity. It's measured in how your energy shifts the collective field. Now, in my first video, one of the messages that I received from Charlie was connected to guns. And many of you noticed. Hundreds of comments came in, some deeply triggered around this phrase of gun control. So I want to be very clear that this was not my opinion. I wasn't giving my political stance. I was simply the messenger communicating what came through from Charlie's soul. If one single word, reform or control, caused such a spike in outrage, that is not about me and it's not about Charlie. That is a mirror of where your own consciousness is still bound to fear, programming, or control. I didn't say this to argue or debate. I say it to invite reflection. If a word can unground you, then that word still has power over you. And that is the exact place where your healing, your freedom, and your expansion is waiting. So Charlie, in soul form, sees guns not through policy, but through the energy they carry: survival, fear, generational trauma, control. His death has ignited a conversation about this, not by chance, but by design. And I fully understand, as my own human, that this subject carries the complexity that, in human form, feels almost impossible to solve. But from the soul perspective, and that's what we're talking about here today, the conversation itself matters. All right. So his purpose here, it is to push, to provoke, and to stir discourse. It's no longer viewed as right or wrong because from his soul version, he now sees every impact his voice created. The compassion it sparked in some, the anger it triggered in others, the division it revealed in the collective. Wow. None of it was wasted. All of it was a part of the tapestry. Now, here's the part I want you to take in deeply. In human form, consciousness is like looking through a straw, narrowed, filtered, colored by our beliefs, our fears, our identities. We see through politics, through religion, through culture, through wounds. And when the body falls away, the straw simply disappears. And the view becomes panoramic. The soul sees from all sides at once. It sees the ripple effect of every word, action, and choice you make, not with judgment, not with shame, but with complete clarity and recalibration. Charlie now understands that what he believed was truth in human form was only a fragment. The soul holds the whole picture. So, why am I sharing this? Because Charlie Kirk's passing is not just about him, it is a mirror for all of us. It asks us, where do we confuse personality with soul? Where do we cling to being right instead of seeking truth? And where do we react to words instead of noticing that the triggers that they ignite within us? This is not about agreeing or disagreeing with Charlie Kirk. It is about recognizing the contrast between human limitations and soul expansion. If you've watched this far, pause with me for a minute and just take a deep breath. And say silently, I release the need to see through the straw. I open my panoramic view of my soul. This is where peace lives. This is where freedom is found. Charlie's human voice stirred debate, but his soul now stirs reflection. If this message opened something in you, let me know in the comments. What did it bring up for you? Curiosity, resistance, peace? Share it, please, because your awareness matters. And if this perspective opened something in you, I invite you to stay connected here. Subscribe so we can keep exploring the deeper layers together, beyond the headlines and into the soul. And if you haven't watched my first video, that was a direct channel from Charlie's soul the days after his passing. Go there next. Together, these two perspectives form a whole because every life and every death, no matter how polarizing, carries a mirror for our own awakening.